Welcome to the next episode of our 30-day Europe trip.
Sa imong YouTube channel.
For this trip, we booked a tour through Kluk with Zani Viaggi. Fun fact, Viaggi is actually an Italian word that means travels. During this trip, we took a bus from Milan going to the province of Como. And before the tour started, our guide gave us IDs and headphones so we could clearly hear all the stories and history during the trip. Right now, we are just walking around and following our tour guide as we enter the beautiful town of Como before heading to our Lake Como boat cruise. For the next few minutes of this video, we'll just be exploring the streets of Como, enjoying the beautiful sights along the way until we reach one of the city's historic churches. While we were walking, our tour guide shared so many interesting facts about the province of Como. So the province of Como is actually one of the most beautiful and historically rich areas in northern Italy. It's located in the Lombardy region near the border of Switzerland, and it's famous for Lake Como, the stunning Y-shaped lake surrounded by mountains, elegant villas, and picturesque towns. The capital city is Como, located at the southern part of the lake. And since Roman times, this area has already been important because of silk production and textile craftsmanship, trade routes between Italy and Switzerland, beautiful villas and summer homes of wealthy families, and of course, its medieval architecture and lakeside towns. According to our tour guide, Como is known as the silk capital of Italy. For hundreds of years, Como has produced world-class silk fabrics supplied to luxury brands like Hermes, Gucci, and Versace. So aside from tourism, this city is also deeply connected to high fashion and luxury craftsmanship. Interesting, even though Como is known as the silk capital of Italy, you won't really see giant silk factories in the tourist areas anymore. Most of the silk craftsmanship now happens quietly behind the scenes in nearby workshops and textile districts. The city center today focuses more on tourism, restaurants, boutiques, cafes, and luxury shopping rather than visible manufacturing. Our tour guide also mentioned one very famous person from Como, Alessandro Volta. Does that name sound familiar to you guys? Because honestly, I first heard about him back in high school during physics class. So see that spot where we are walking by and taking photos? That's Piazza Alessandro Volta, one of the most famous squares here in Como. And right in the middle, you'll see this huge monument of Alessandro Volta. He was actually the inventor of the electric battery we still use today. Back in 1800s, Alessandro Volta created the voltaic pile, which became the world's very first true battery. And fun fact, the electrical unit volt or voltage was actually named after him. Amazing, right? Imagine hearing his name in school before, then now we're actually visiting the city where he lived. There's even a museum here in Como dedicated to Alessandro Volta and his incredible contributions to science and electricity. It's called Tempio Voltiano. Yes, as you can see, we are still walking. Our travel guide didn't really give us much time to stop and rest because we had a schedule to follow. But before we started, they actually asked us if we wanted to join the walking tour around the town or just stay on the bus and wait for the boat cruise. Of course, we chose to go. I mean, it's Italy. We did not want to miss all these beautiful spots. So in the next few minutes of this video, you will mostly see picturesque streets, Instagrammable corners, and charming little spots that make Italy feel straight out of a postcard. Did you notice that too? Around Como, you'll see these large blue trash bins almost everywhere. They're actually part of the city's recycling and waste segregation system. In many parts of Italy, people are very strict about separating their trash properly, like paper, plastic, glass, and regular waste. It's probably one of the reasons the town stays so clean and organized, even with so many tourists visiting every day. Honestly, we couldn't stop taking photos every few minutes. The whole town felt like a real-life Instagram feed. Even though almost all we saw were just streets and cafes, every corner still looked aesthetic and picture perfect. Wow, these flowers are so lovely. These are definitely my mother-in-law's happy pills because she absolutely loves flowers. Go girl, pose and smile. Own the moment like the world paused just for you. Smile! One thing I always do when I travel is take lots of photos, not just for posting, but for memories. Someday, these little moments will be the stories we'll look back on and smile about. So if you're traveling, don't forget to capture the simple moments too. And finally, we arrived here at Basilica of Santo Bondio. This is actually one of the oldest and most important church in Como. It was built around the 11th century in the Romanist style and is known for its beautiful twin bell towers, peaceful atmosphere, and historic frescoes inside. And this is our last stop here in Como town. Finally, it's time for the highlight of our Lake Como trip, the boat cruise. This boat cruise includes 3 beautiful towns, Varenna, Bellagio, and Menaggio. These towns are connected by ferries, so even the boat rides themselves are already part of the experience. As we leave the town of Como, you can already see why Lake Como is one of the most famous lakes in the world. The lake is shaped like an upside-down Y and is surrounded by mountains, elegant villas, colorful towns, and stunning waterfront views. Fun fact, this place has been attracting celebrities, artists, and wealthy families for centuries. Even George Clooney owns a villa here. And honestly, after seeing these views in person, I completely understand why. Lake Como has also been featured in famous movies like Casino Royale from the James Bond series, House of Gucci, and even scenes connected to Star Wars. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, were all filmed around the Lake Como area. Even stars like Madonna, designers, and celebrities regularly visit this area because of its peaceful and luxurious atmosphere. Okay guys, another interesting trivia our tour guide shared about Lake Como is that this place is also filled with mysterious stories, legends, and myths that locals have been talking about for centuries. One old legend says that hidden beneath the waters of Lake Como are ancient villages and ruins from long ago. Some locals even say church bells can supposedly be heard underwater during quiet nights. Although of course, it's more of a folklore story. There are also stories about ghostly sightings in some of the old villas around the lake. Considering many of these mansions are hundreds of years old and were owned by noble families, people created legends about spirits wandering the halls. One famous place connected to mysterious stories is Villa del Balbianello. Right there, in front of us, that's the iconic villa where scenes from Casino Royale and Star Wars were filmed. Locals say the villa has this mysterious energy because of its long history overlooking the lake. Another interesting detail is that it was once owned by Count Guido Manzino, an Italian explorer who actually led the first Italian expedition to Mount Everest. Inside the villa, he kept collections from all his travels around the world, maps, artifacts, and expedition memorabilia. Then before he passed away in 1988, Monzino donated the entire villa to Fondo Ambiente Italiano, which is basically Italy's national trust that protects important historical places. That's why today, instead of becoming a private luxury mansion, people from around the world can still visit and experience this incredible villa. And because Lake Como is one of the deepest lakes in Europe, people used to believe there were unexplored underwater caves and even lake creatures hiding in the dark waters. Honestly though, whether the stories are true or not, they make Lake Como feel even more magical. By the way guys, this is also the villa where the movie House of Gucci was filmed. We weren't able to properly capture it on video during the tour, but luckily, my phone camera still managed to catch a glimpse of it. Alright guys, we are nearing our first stop, which is Varenna. Honestly, even from afar, it already looks so beautiful. Varenna is known for its colorful houses, peaceful atmosphere, and charming little streets beside the lake. Compared to the other towns, this one feels quieter and more relaxing. It honestly looks like a postcard in real life. We're gonna walk around the town, explore the cute cafes and shops, and just enjoy the peaceful vibe here by the lake. I can already tell this is gonna be one of my favorite spots in Italy. Okay, we stopped for some gelato real quick, and honestly, you cannot come to Bellagio without getting one. The weather, the lake view, the colorful streets, it just makes the gelato taste even better. Quick photo stop first before we continue exploring Varenna. One thing I noticed about Varenna is that even just walking around feels romantic and peaceful. The streets are small and charming, and everywhere you look there's something beautiful to photograph. Alright guys, we are now heading to the beautiful church here in Varenna. One thing I really love is that almost every town in Italy has these historic churches that instantly make the place feel peaceful and timeless. So let's check this place out first before we continue walking around Varenna. Okay guys, we've just arrived at the beautiful Chiesa di San Giorgio. This church dates all the way back to the 14th century, and you can really feel that old world charm as soon as you see its stone facade and tall bell tower. It has this simple but very powerful Gothic style that blends perfectly with the streets of Varenna. After exploring Varenna, we are now heading to Bellagio by boat. Bellagio is actually one of the most famous towns in Lake Como and is often called the Pearl of Lake Como. We spent taking photos around Bellagio, exploring the little streets and simply enjoying the atmosphere. Everywhere you look, there's another beautiful view waiting for you. Now we are in Menaggio, our last stop for today. We were already tired at this point, so instead of walking around too much, we just sat facing the lake and enjoyed the peaceful view while waiting for the others before taking the boat back to Como town. Finally, we are now on the bus going back to our Airbnb, and wow, it suddenly makes sense why people say Lake Como is very near Switzerland because you can already see the Swiss Alps from here. And speaking of Switzerland, tomorrow we are finally going there, so watch out for our next vlog because our Europe adventure continues there.